Hello, I am Joseph Clark Jr. Recently got a job at a very prestigious firm. It was not easy to get there, and according to rumors, dozens of people are aiming for this place, but not all of them are taken. I managed to get my way, but only then I realized that I was not taken for the mind. When I was little, I always dreamed that by the age of 30, I would have my own house, car, and possibly family. That is why I tried to study hard at school, because I needed knowledge. While my classmates smoked around the corner, went to clubs, and hung out in institutions, I studied. My family wasn't rich, so I was motivated enough. After high school, I went to college and got free tuition. In return, I had to develop a project on microbusiness and present it on behalf of the college on the international stage. I agreed and put all my energy, time, and mind into it. I spent nights in libraries and computer labs, and again, I didn't talk to anyone, just to keep my mind on things. And I did it. My project was the most profitable, practical and profitable at the same time. I couldn't believe my luck. The organizer who organized the competition promised cool sponsorship to the college where I studied, and personally, to me, an internship with possible employment in the future. When I heard that, I almost fell out of my chair. I can't even imagine what a great opportunity this is. Getting a job in one of the largest organizations is the beginning of a dream come true. It's like I've proved myself. So, college ended. I was invited to an internship. In total, 74 people applied for the positions of junior specialist, including me. It was a huge fighting game for the job. I hardly slept, ate at the computer, read the necessary literature, even in the toilet, before going to bed and when brushing my teeth. My brain was boiling like never before. Sometimes I thought that my head was about to burst from the furious flow of information, but I could not stop. 74 people have applied for this position, and if I give up even for half a day, it means that someone will go ahead for half a day. I spoke to my family beforehand so that they would not write or call me, thus distracting me from my work. I've been saving for a time like it's water during a long drought. My self-isolation from friends, social networks, and even from myself was supposed to help me achieve my goal to some extent. For a whole month, I was in search of information. I prepared myself, my brain for 100%, and finally, the day of the last most important interview came. My future fate depended on the presentation of my new business plan and the interview. I was very worried, washed and ironed my white shirt in advance, put on a tie, everything as it should be, and went to the office. The entire corridor was filled with people like me, all in white shirts and ties, all nervous and preparing for the presentation. I suddenly asked myself, how am I better? At this moment, the secretary came out into the corridor and invited us to the common room. That's where we had to prove ourselves, showing the results and revealing the features of the projects. When I heard a couple of business ideas cooler than my own, it seemed to me that the earth is going out from under. We were given 2 hours for the test and presentation. Then a coffee break was announced. I left the hall sweaty and pale, decided to drink coffee and eat a croissant. The secretary came up to me and handed me a badge. She didn't explain anything, just told me to keep it to myself. At the end of the break, the girl made an announcement. Those who have a token in their hands go to the hall. If you don't have one, you're free to go. Thanks for participating. What? Did I pass? Yes. I couldn't believe it. And neither could the other 2 people. So out of 74 people, there are only 3 of us left? Now it was time for an interview. Each of us went into the office in turn. I was the last one. My excitement was barely under control. This was the most exciting part of the exam. The chief of the organization is a person who likes punctuality, accurate calculation, and does not waste time. He is very strict, smart, and knows his business perfectly. I would give anything to get to work for him. And now it was my turn. I went into the office, said hello, introduced myself loudly and clearly, and then sat down opposite Mr. Strong. He looked at me for a long time, as if he were looking at every wrinkle. I held my breath and waited for questions. "Why should I hire you?" he asked. "Why not?" I replied, immediately regretting it. Oh, how stupid I am. I worked for a month, day and night, to almost achieve my goal, To come to the last stage and answer, why not? I think I was flushed on the spot. You're right, why not? Tomorrow I will wait for you with your documents. Congratulations. Your place is yours. You can go, he said. What? My breath quickened. My heart was about to hit the floor. I felt hot, then cold, and I wanted to cry. I got up, shook his hand, thanked him, and left. Leaving the office, I ran to the elevator, and when the doors closed, I screamed so that people on the floors thought that the elevator was falling. Oh, it was the best day of my life. I came home and for the first time in a long time allowed myself to drink champagne. I called my family and accepted congratulations. This was happiness. For a second, I thought, what if I hadn't prepared like this? Would I have been hired? So from the next day, my new life began. Meeting with colleagues, adapting, and all new projects. I often contacted the chief, who personally reviewed my developments and made comments. Everything seemed so cool, especially the salary. I was only confused by one but. In our team of women, there was only a secretary, and all the others were men. I, of course, did not come to turn novels, but sometimes I would like to please the eye. After a month, I became completely comfortable and even made friends with some of my colleagues. We went to lunch together. One day, Charles, the name of one of them, asked me, "Has the chief given you a badge yet?" I asked in surprise. "What kind of token?" "Ah, well, as it gives, then tell me," he said, and smiled. I couldn't figure out what they were talking about. And then I remembered that the first time I had received the badge from Melanie's secretaries was on the day of the interview, but Charles said I would find out later. The next day, a delegation from China came to our company. They signed a contract with us, and the chief invited me to the office, introduced me, and said that I would oversee the project. This was a great opportunity to prove yourself. I was so happy to be entrusted with this job. After the guests left, the chief gave me a badge and told me that we needed to have dinner that night and discuss some details. I gladly agreed and arrived after work at the specified restaurant. Strangely, there was no one else there but our table. We talked to him, had a big dinner, discussed everything that interested me, and then the chief said we could take a break and poured me a whiskey. We had a couple of drinks. The alcohol got into my head, and I got ready to go home. The chief got up from the table, helped me to my feet, and suddenly kissed me on the lips. What the fuck? I shouted and pulled away from him. He looked at me in the eye and asked, "Why, didn't you know? I thought you were one of us," he said. "Us? What other us?" Oh no, and then it dawned on me what it meant, this whole men's team. "You weren't looking for a job? You were looking for a partner?" I asked, but he only said that the pleasant can be combined with the useful. "Why not, Clark? There's nothing wrong with that," he told me. I told him that he was right, there was nothing wrong with it, but I preferred girls. Mr. Strong sighed and said he was sorry. I realized I wasn't going to get a job. I came home broken, not in the mood. The next day I found a box of things waiting for me on my desk. I arrived home, and in the evening the doorbell rang. The chief said that he was very sorry that everything happened like this, but we need people like you. Therefore, starting tomorrow, you will be working in our branch in Paris. Here's the ticket. Pack your things, the secretary said, and left. For a few more minutes I tried to digest what she had said. And then I opened the letter from Strong. He wrote that I had a brilliant mind and a gorgeous appearance. I will not be able to work in the local office because I will distract the management. And in Paris, everything is just as I want, more traditional. Take this job and take the first flight. To prove yourself there, he wrote. Well, I didn't think twice, and said to myself, why not?